Hey Emily, have you ever found yourself constantly refreshing the tracking page for an international package, hoping for an update?
Oh, absolutely, Jake. Especially when it's something I'm eagerly waiting for. It's almost like watching water boil.
Right? And speaking of tracking updates, there's one that seems to puzzle a lot of people. Arrived at Departure Transport Hub. Ever come across that one?
Yes, I have, and it can be quite confusing. It sounds like your package is ready to leave, but then it just sits there.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. What does arrived at Departure Transport Hub actually mean, and why does it seem like our packages take a vacation there before continuing their journey to us?
To start, arrived at Departure Transport Hub means that your package is at the International Shipment Hub in China, ready to leave the country. It's waiting for an airline to pick it up and deliver it to the most favorable route toward its destination.
So it's kind of like the package is at the airport waiting for its flight, but it's not just any flight. The package needs a specific flight that will take it closer to its final destination, right?
Exactly, Jake. And before the package can even think about boarding its flight, it goes through customs clearance. This is a crucial step to ensure everything is in order before it leaves China.
That makes sense. But I've heard that the airline that takes the package from China isn't necessarily the one that brings it to your doorstep. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct. For example, I once had a package that was given to an airline heading to Belgium, and from there it was delivered to me. It's all about finding the most efficient route to the destination country.
Interesting. So it's not just a straight shot from China to your home. There's a bit of a relay race happening with your package.
Precisely. And while this process might seem straightforward, several factors can cause delays, making our packages linger at the Departure Transport Hub longer than we'd like.
I'm curious about those factors. What could possibly hold up our eagerly awaited packages?
Well, Jake, there are a few main reasons, like backed up customs offices, insufficient airlines, understaffing, and even the lack of sufficient packages to fill a plane. Plus, sometimes the tracking itself isn't accurate, which adds to the confusion.
That's a lot to consider. It really puts into perspective the journey our packages go through before they arrive at our doorsteps.
Absolutely. And while it can be frustrating to wait, understanding these processes helps manage our expectations. But hey, listeners, have you ever experienced a long wait for a package? What was the status update that had you scratching your head? Share your stories with us on social media or our podcast platform.
So, Emily, diving deeper into the reasons our packages might be taking an extended holiday at the Departure Transport Hub, let's start with the backed-up customs offices. It sounds like a major bottleneck.
Exactly, Jake. During peak times like the holiday season, customs offices can get overwhelmed. Imagine the sheer volume of packages needing inspection. And if your package requires a physical check, that adds even more time to the process.
That makes sense. And what about insufficient airlines? How does that play into the delay?
Well, since AliExpress needs to find an airline that's heading towards the most favorable route for your package, it's not always straightforward. Sometimes, all the flights might be booked, and AliExpress has to wait for an available one. This can significantly extend the waiting period.
I see. And understaffing at AliExpress could further complicate things, right?
Absolutely. Especially during peak shopping seasons, the ratio of staff to packages isn't always balanced. This means there's a backlog in processing, which inevitably leads to delays in updating the package status.
It also seems like the volume of packages plays a role. If there aren't enough packages to fill a plane, I guess they have to wait until there's enough to make the trip worthwhile?
Right. It's all about efficiency. Sending a partially filled plane isn't cost-effective, so packages might stay at the hub until there are enough to fill a flight. This is particularly true for smaller hubs where freight volumes are lower.
And then there's the issue of inaccurate tracking. That must be frustrating for people waiting on their packages.
Definitely. Sometimes, due to technical glitches or missed scans, the tracking page doesn't update. This can lead to unnecessary anxiety, as recipients might think their package is lost when in reality it's on its way.
All these factors really highlight the complexity of international shipping. It's not just about getting the package from point A to B. There's a whole ecosystem at play.
Exactly, Jake, and while it can be frustrating to wait, understanding these reasons can help us be more patient. Speaking of patience, what should someone do if their package is stuck at arrived at departure transport hub?
Great question, Emily. Let's dive into that in our next segment. But first, listeners, have you faced any of these issues with your international packages? How did you deal with the wait? Let us know on our social media channels or comment on our podcast platform.
Well, if your package is stuck at arrived at departure transport hub, the first thing to do is be more patient. It might sound simple, but patience really is key in these situations. There's often a lot going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of.
That makes sense. But what if someone's really anxious about their package? Is there anything else they can do?
Absolutely. For those who want more frequent updates, using a third-party tracking service like Parcels app can be really helpful. These services often provide more detailed information about where your package is and what's happening with it.
I see. So it's about finding alternative ways to stay informed. What about reaching out to the sender? Is that an option?
Definitely. If you're concerned about a time-sensitive package, communicating with the sender is crucial. They're responsible for ensuring you receive your package within the agreed time frame. In some cases, they might even send a replacement or offer a refund.
It sounds like there are several steps one can take to ease their mind while waiting. But, Emily, how long should someone expect their package to be stuck at the departure transport hub? Is there a typical time frame?
The waiting time can vary widely, from as little as 2 business days to more than 3 weeks. It really depends on the underlying reasons for the delay. But knowing that it's normal for international packages to take this long can help manage expectations.
So, it's all about understanding the process and keeping a level head. Thanks for breaking that down, Emily. Listeners, have you had to wait a long time for a package recently? How did you handle the uncertainty? Share your experiences and tips with us on social media or our podcast platform. That brings us to the key takeaways from today's discussion. It's been quite a journey understanding the complexities of international shipping, especially with AliExpress.
Absolutely, Jake. To sum up, when AliExpress says your package has arrived at departure transport hub, it means it's being processed before getting loaded onto an airline that will take it closer to its destination.
And we've learned there are several reasons for delays at this stage, including customs backlogs, insufficient airlines, understaffing, and even the volume of packages needing to be sufficient to fill a plane.
Right? And while it can be frustrating to wait, being patient is key. International packages have their own set of challenges, but they do eventually make their way to us.
Exactly. And if your package is taking longer than expected, remember, it's normal for AliExpress international packages. There's no need to panic.
Listeners, we hope this episode has shed some light on what happens behind the scenes with your international packages. If you've had similar experiences or tips on managing the wait, we'd love to hear from you.